Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Apolitical, a weekly podcast where we bring Atlanta politics to you unfiltered. I'm your host, Ms. Cameron T., and welcome back. Today, we have another city council candidate in the studio with us, Mr. Antonio Lewis. Antonio is in a runoff for the District 12 council seat, and he's up against the 17-year incumbent councilwoman Joyce Sheperd. This is a very interesting race. Mrs. Sheperd has represented the Southeast Atlanta district since 2004, and she usually easily beats any opponent she steps in the ring with. In fact, she hasn't been in a runoff since 2005, but this year it's a little bit different. Antonio Lewis was able to earn over 2,000 votes, just a few dozen less than Councilwoman Sheperd, and he strongly believes that after 17 years, it is time for the district to elect new leadership. Today, we're going to ask him why. So, coming right up is our interview with District 12 City Council candidate, Mr. Antonio Lewis. Stay tuned, guys. Hey y'all, the holidays are coming up, and if you're anything like me, you are tired of those same old stale grocery store greeting cards, which is why I want to tell you guys about Neighborly Paper. Neighborly Paper is a Black and woman-owned greeting card company based right here in Atlanta. They have the most stunning and hilarious cards on the market. I personally love the astrology cards. They are so much fun to give to my friends on their birthday. They have cards for every occasion, including, obviously, birthdays, graduations, and holidays, which are coming up soon. Like I said, they are so different from anything else out there that you will definitely want to check it out. Head over to neighborlypaper.com right now and stock up to bring a smile to those people in your life for the holiday season. All right, guys, let's get to our show. We are joined by City Council candidate for District 12, who I am honored to be sitting next to, Mr. Antonio Lewis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here. Let's talk about some important things.
And yeah, it's busy because it's a runoff, but once I told you, you reach out, I'm pulling up. Podcasts, some podcasts you can't miss. Absolutely. I appreciate you even reaching out to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So you're in a runoff with City Councilwoman Joyce Sheperd for District 12 seat. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I know you stayed up late on November the 2nd to hear the news with your wife, with your family, with everyone. Tell me what that felt like in those moments of watching those numbers and hearing it.
So we planned this. We didn't walk into it blind. We understood that we were headed for a runoff. You don't beat a 17-year incumbent in the general, particularly if it's more than one candidate in the election. My opponent, Joyce Sheperd, who's in the runoff, she's the one who's surprised because she didn't think she would go into a runoff with the first-time candidate.
Right.
Typically, first-time candidates don't take 17-year incumbents into runoffs.
Absolutely.
The votes she got are people who voted for the aye. Like, people in my community know they've been left behind.
Yep.
It's time for change, and I'm the person who's going to bring the change. This is what happens after the protest. So that's what I represent. What happens after the protest?
So let's talk about the protest. Last year, of course, rest in peace, Rashard Brooks.
Facts.
You were heavily in the streets, getting your point across, making a statement. Why and how did that inspire you? And did it inspire you to run for this seat at all?
I was getting our point across, getting the point across of all of us in Atlanta. If you look at our NPUs in our district, we all were against like some of the things that were happening in our district. So I was getting all of our points across. I actually went to the protest because Rashard Brooks' family asked me to. I never went to I'm Black Lives Matter because I'm black, right? And I walk around. Everything about me the things I do should show how I feel about the movement. I never went to a protest before because people below I-20 didn't protest. Like the protests that we had in the city of Atlanta were all held at the CNN Center. Not me. I've never been to a protest at the CNN Center. The New York Times has a top 10 photos of the year they do every year. They don't have any protests from the CNN Center. They have a protest that I hosted, protest on Cleveland Avenue.
Which I've seen multiple times.
The reason why is because that's the protest with black people in the crowd. Black people ain't going out to the CNN Center. People from Atlanta, look into the crowd. I hope I ain't saying that crazy.
No, you're seriously.
People from Atlanta don't typically go to the CNN Center.
No, I did it.
The police at the CNN Center never killed a black man. The police in Zone 3 police precinct, the district I grew up in, they killed both Rashard Brooks and Oscar Kane. Both friends of mine, both close friends of, if not a friend of mine, close friends of the family. APD did not kill Rashard Brooks. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a lot of the police officers that are killing folks in the city of Atlanta aren't APD. APD has 60% black folk. You know what I'm saying? They treat us a little different. Think about this. We try not to get pulled over outside of Atlanta.
Yes. Hello.
You feel a little bit better.
Outside of 285.
Because we did it right in Atlanta.
Right.
So I protested for Oscar Kane and Rashard Brooks and for people in my community who were oppressed by the police who had never protested before. Yep. So I built everything we did was for them.
Yep. And we appreciate that.
Fully for them.
Fully.
So as soon as you walked in the studio today, you started telling us about a frustrating campaign experience that you just got back from. Can you tell our listeners what you were just telling us?
I've done probably about 30 house parties, right? A house party means that a person says, hey, Antonio, will you come to my house so people can come meet you and ask you questions? If this last meet and greet, none of them was like this. I've done 30. At number 31, they asked me, hey, Antonio, you've been in the gang. Antonio, do you have any gang affiliations? Antonio, what's your deepest, darkest secret? Because we're going to find out. I'm just playing. Then she asked me again. Then she asked me again. And 3 more times. I got asked that question, what's your deepest, darkest secret? Because we're going to find out. I'm just playing in that order 5 times.
Not even a question.
Was this in District 12?
In District 12.
What part?
I was in Capitol View Manor. So we have I was on the north side of District 12. I'm trying to expand my voter base, right? And expansion of your voter base means that you got to talk to people I talked to them. They told me I never talked to them. I'm expanding into the group that voted for my opponent. And they told me they were going to vote for my opponent during the election. I believed them, and I never went back and talked to them again.
Yeah, it's like, that's fine.
I believe you.
All right, that's fine. I don't need to argue with you. Not a problem.
I go next door. And I hit a number that no one has. Only one time in the history has a person had more than 2,000 votes in the history of District 12. That's our incumbent. This time, 2 people had more than 2,000 votes. So it's the first time in the history of our district that many people came out. We hear a lot about what happened in Atlanta on Tuesday last week. Voter turnout was low, not over here. Imagine this right here. In the hood, voter turnout was high. We had more people that voted for me and the other 2 people in one precinct than what voted for Warnock and Ossoff. And my whole thing is that I hope y'all praying for me. I hope black folks in the city of Atlanta praying for me, because if you look at the city council right now, nobody represents us. Antonio Brown, gone. Andre Dickens, gone. Like, y'all, hey, listen, if they treat me like this, the clean cut one, I'm the clean cut one. Man, they want me to cut. If I cut this, they might treat me a little bit better. My wife don't want me to take this part off.
Don't take it off.
She'll be mad at me.
Do it for the wife. Wife, I wish.
She'll be so upset at me if I take this part out. But one of my mentors told me, Dr. King, he said Dr. King was afraid to say the word Negro. He never even called himself Negro. So I call myself a black man. I'm a black man fully.
My pride comes from being a Black American.
Facts.
Not even being an African American woman, but the freedom that we have and the freedom that Thank God, thank you. Our forefathers have given us, and your forefathers have given you a chance to be an American black man and be free to do whatever you want to
and
do.
believe I can have it all.
And believe you can have it all.
The thing they don't like about me, imagine being a black man from Atlanta who plays basketball, who's the president of his elementary school, middle school, high school, then goes to college and be the president. I got confidence in another level.
Period.
I believe, and when they call me arrogant, I'm like, man, my mom got killed when I was 3 in front of me. My mom got shot over 17 times. They meant to shoot her. You know what I'm saying? I understand, like, we live in an era in Atlanta where the women are dying. They killing women. We don't got back to that portion in the city of Atlanta.
That being said, how do we address public safety without going back to old tough on crime policies that we know ultimately harm our community?
We can't bring the Red Dogs back, right? Because I grew up in the trap house. I grew up 22. I'm the child that lived in the trap house that grew up out of it. We got to we have to have police presence in a different type of way. Mm-hmm. We got to also reimagine what we spend our funding at in Atlanta like we used to. See, Atlanta used to have something called 2 guaranteed jobs for students. That way
we sure did.
Yeah, we had guaranteed jobs. And so we need to bring those guaranteed jobs back for kids. So we used to not say, I might not help you, brother, but mine and yours. My kids and your kids, we got them. We got to get back to doing that, and we got to get to helping people. Tyler Perry moved to Atlanta for opportunity. He in my district, District 12. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he gave Joyce Sheperd some money. I reached out. I can't get in contact with him. I'm in a runoff. I might win this election. Why doesn't he think he should have a relationship with me?
Well, we're hoping that he will after seeing this, and the support will be there.
It's not even about a relationship with me. We got South Atlanta, Carver, and Thurl in our community. He doesn't have a relationship with either of the high schools. So my thing was, I just said, not you and me, mine and yours. Those are our kids. And
as black people, we hold such esteem to Tyler Perry.
We gave him it for free. He got that place. He got that theater. All us know we gave it to him for pennies on the dollar. He was at Greenbrier Mall. All us know he was at Greenbrier. Right? It burnt down.
Yeah.
It burnt down one day. It was a suspicious burn down.
We're
gonna start their business, right? Lord. I don't know what happened, but Tyler Perry Studios had some smoke coming up one day. And then the next year, he got Fort McPherson. And we ain't even tripping about what he got. My only thing is that South Atlanta, Thurl, and Carver should feel him in their community. You just got to feel you. You know what? Send some drones to the schools. Let the kids learn how to play with drones so they can come work at your movie theater. Tyler Perry got to invest in the people, young boys and young women in Atlanta in a next level way that he hasn't. I don't think it's because he hasn't. I think it's because he hasn't been asked. I think our city council person has been sitting on her hands. When I say sitting on your head, you really can't do that much with your hands on your bottom, right? I think she's been sitting on her hands, and she only comes when they're giving her money or whenever they're calling her. Things have happened to us and not for us. If I'm elected, things are happening for us instead of to us. That's my goal.
So speaking of a city councilwoman, Joyce Sheperd, she implemented and introduced a new police training facility. How do you feel about that?
So I would tell you to invite her here as well. You see how I came up? She probably won't. You're in our district. You're in our area. You're on Cleveland Avenue. She should probably come talk to you just like Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms did. So I would suggest that you invite her here to talk about it as well. Me, just like the MPUs in our district, I'm against it. What I mean by I'm against it, I would have voted no because the MPUs told me to.
Why?
I believe in we work for the people. As an elected official, you work for the people.
What does MPU stand for?
Neighborhood Planning Unit. Each neighborhood in the city of Atlanta has a neighborhood planning unit, and they have neighborhood associations. So there may be 4 or 5 neighborhood associations that leads into one neighborhood planning unit. So the people in the community told our city councilperson no. Our city councilperson went and lied and said that the people told her yes, and she stood on it. She brought it through that police training facility. I do think that the facility that the police and fire are currently using needs upgrades. But I don't think that we need to build however many acres of land that we use. I don't think we're going to be able to hit our climate change goals in the city of Atlanta by doing this. It actually sets us back.
So let's talk about the mayor. So we have a runoff for them, Felicia Moore and Andre Dickens. Who is your go-to and why?
I'm okay with either candidate. I would prefer, if it was me, I'm voting for Andre Dickens. I voted for Andre Dickens in the general. I'm not endorsing Andre Dickens. That's just who I voted for. He's been to my building. He understands a little bit more about us than I think Felicia Moore does. And I'm not giving him an endorsement, but that's who I'm voting for. That's who my wife is probably going to vote for because we understand that portion. But I do respect Gloria Tanubu, who works with Felicia Moore. And Gloria Tanubu is our former city council person for District 12.
Okay.
And I grew up in her household. And Felicia Moore used to work for her. I don't think Felicia Moore understands Atlantans the way that Andre Dickens does. But I may be wrong. So I hope that y'all put the whole answer in there. I'm not against Felicia. And I'm not, but I just understand that Andre probably understands growing up in Atlanta, being around Atlantans a little bit different than Felicia Moore does. And I think this election right now we're a part of is, like Andre says, for the soul of Atlanta. Like and look, the next 20 years are going to be decided by what we do on November 30th.
Amen.
Either we going to be able to live here or we ain't.
And now it is time for our trending question. This is a question we take straight from what's been trending online and we bring it to Apolitical. Are you ready?
I ain't nervous.
He ain't never scared, y'all. So last week, Kanye West, or should I say Ye, visited the Drink Champs podcast and bashed Big Sean for being used by the Democrats. Kanye did play a major part in Big Sean's success and ultimately changed his life after signing him. So the question is, does Big Sean owe Kanye West any sort of public loyalty, or should it have been cool for Big Sean to speak out against Kanye running for president?
If Kanye is open as he says he is, he shouldn't have been mad at Big Sean because Jay-Z supported the Democrat. If that's the case, Jay-Z did the same thing for Kanye West. Kanye West is he was born in Atlanta, raised in Chicago. I think he was given.
Say it louder.
Kanye West was born in Atlanta, raised in Chicago.
Yes, he was.
I think he was born with the same thing I was born with. I think that he was given some of the same thing that all black men from Atlanta were given. The pride, the strength that his parents put in. His mother was a teacher at Clark. His daddy was the man. I'm a union man. His daddy was the man in the union. You know what I'm saying? His daddy a union man. I call myself a union man. So Kanye West, his responsibility to black people in America was different. His responsibility was different like mine is. He's supposed to understand that I think he signed Big Sean to a deal that he shouldn't have signed him to. Big Sean's complained about the deal he signed to Kanye West 100 million times.
Yeah.
So I don't think Kanye West should even mention nothing about Big Sean because we had to make excuses for what he did to us. And he did something to us. Because it's responsibility to black people according to his mom and his daddy. And look, this is a real question. His mom and his daddy gave him some knowledge that I pray I had. I ain't even almost get what he got. None of us got what Kanye West got. Knowledge-wise, he got what Dr. King kids got. You know what I'm saying? Kanye West, when he say who his parents are, look at who his parents are. They're college graduates. You know, like if you believe in anything about the talented 10th with W.E.B. Du Bois, Kanye West is definitely the talented 10th W.E.B. Du Bois. I liked him more when he said George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Y'all remember that?
But y'all also got to understand, my mom died too. Kanye West's mom died in a different kind of way. And she died when he was in his 30s, which means like he felt a different thing too. So as a person as a motherless child, I understand Kanye West going through different things. I hope one day, man, I'm going to talk about that. Because his responsibility to black people is a little different than what he's been taking it.
Absolutely. Okay, again, let me congratulate you for running an absolutely monumental campaign. Ms. Cameron T, am personally very, very proud of you.
With a Z.
With a Z, y'all, and a K.
Count.
Cameron with a K spelled the regular way. What has been your key to success? And for those that did not vote for you or are still undecided, why should they vote for you over Councilman Joyce Sheperd on November 30th?
We've been dealing with some things in our community for 17 years that haven't been resolved. I think that 17 years is long enough to show us some steps in advancement towards what we need. Our council person currently has made more enemies than friends, and it hurts our district. When our council person can't get the state rep to come to the table, can't get the state senator to come to the table, can't get other city council people to come to the table, can't get the mayor to come to the table, it hurts our district. And so it's time for change, no matter how we look at it. So we have a council person who, no matter what she ran for, whatever issues were when she ran for city council, she solved them. If she haven't solved them, she's never going to solve them. She said this is her last time running. I don't even want nobody who tell me this is the last time. Part of what I mean by that, I don't want nobody telling me, because they think they're supposed to coast. That ain't how it go. We've been left behind for so long. You don't get to choose your last time. You ain't John Lewis. You get what I'm saying? Like you ain't do what he did for us.
Well,
and so her issue with me is that even she said it. It's time for fresh ideas and new leadership. She called me cocky, and the reason why she calls me cocky is I'll tell you and I'll tell anybody else because she didn't choose me. It's because you don't get to choose who comes after you. You know what I'm saying? That's a monarchy. That's a monarchy. This ain't a kingship. It's time for change in our district. Even our city council person knows it. Only difference is she sat on her hands for so long, she thought she was going to get to choose her daughter next year. You don't get to choose who comes next. And so I'm running for city council because the change that we need is going to come through me. My experience, you look at it, you judge a man by what he does with his time and his money, and you can judge me real clear. I spend my time on my nonprofit on Cleveland Avenue. I'm going to spend my money and time on my nonprofit on Cleveland Avenue. It's very simple. So it's time for change in our community. 17 years is far enough, long enough. And if we want to rise together, we need a person who understands both the policy and the relationships.
Yep.
For far too long in black communities, we elect or hire folks based off relationships. Now you get to elect a person based off relationships and policy. Yep. So I want to say thank you for inviting me, but the change that we got to come from within.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me on Apolitical. This has been a pleasure, to say the least. Before I let you go, can you please tell our listeners how they can keep up with your campaign and hashtags, all that good stuff?
Yeah, everything we do is Antonio Lewis ATL. Try to keep it as simple as possible. So if you type in my name, Antonio ANTONIO Lewis LEWIS ATL. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We move it. We're keeping it fully to what we need to keep.
Let's move it forward. Thank you again, Mr. Lewis.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's get it.